Welcome to Monday Re Tsene with Pretoria Psychologists. Throughout the whole of September, we have been talking about all things new because, yes, it's springtime and everything is springing, the flowers are blooming, the birds and bees, and all the jazz that goes with spring. So I want to just quickly recap. We have been talking about how can you reinvent yourself. Just spring in, we talked about resilience, we talked about re-establishing your goals, looking at your goals. Maybe your goals were interrupted because of COVID-19. They were abandoned somehow and you thought, you know what, forget it, I'm not going to do this anymore. But right now, you realize that your dreams are still alive because exam is knocking on the door. You are thinking, here comes the preliminary for the matrics, and here comes the exams for those who are in higher learning institutions around just next month in October. So some of you might already be preparing and you might already have your timetable. So it could be overwhelming to say, where do I start when I have lost so much time? So today I want to talk about exam preparation. It looks different for those who are in basic education to those who are higher learning institutions. For those who are in basic education, it could be that you have to catch up because of the lost time. For those who are in higher learning institutions, you were going on with your online learning and so on. So I will talk to that in a moment. So for those who are in basic education, the catch-up, as I said, it could be quite overwhelming. But I want you to stick with it. Stick with the program. Whatever program you have been given, whatever program you have been using. So remember, the matric year, your grade 12 year is not any different to the previous years. Yes, it is an exit kind of a year where it tests your ability if you can be able to make it post the education or the basic education system, but it is not any different. So what I want you to do right now is to calm down. To calm down in looking at this giant called an exam. Yes, we have given it this label that it's called an exam, and maybe that's what causes a lot of panic in many of you. So take your timetable for the prelim and look at the time that you have. So meaning that you divide your class time, you divide your study time, you divide your rest time, you divide your social time. You still need to be a well-rounded person. Just because the exams are here, it doesn't mean that you have to be on your books all the time. You can still be able to have your social time. In a 24 hours, we all are allotted 24 hours in a day. I want you to divide your sleeping time because it's very, very important to still get enough sleep, because it's in our sleep that we concrete, we make everything that we have learned throughout the day, that we make it concrete. Our brains are able to make it, to process whatever we have absorbed during the day. So sleep is very important. On average, you need 6 to 10 hours. Yes, I know usually they say 6 to 8 hours, but remember, you are a teenager, you know, you are 16, 17, 18, 19, you still need about 10 hours for you to actually feel refreshed and to be recharged, for your brain to make sense of everything that you have learned. So get your 6 to 10 hours of sleep. If you are somebody like myself who is a morning person, try to get your studying into the early hours of the morning. What is even nicer about the early hours of the morning is that it's still quiet and your brain's is fresh. So if you have taken your timetable and you have looked at and listed how many hours it will need for you to catch up with a certain content for a particular subject, then you cover it according to the hours that you have in that morning or the evening. For some, you could be an evening person, which means you wait for everybody to sleep and then only then you start with your schoolwork. So then you are going to divide it. If you are somebody who does things in segments, you might want to divide it into 2 hours each time and take breaks. Or if you are somebody who can do things all in one batch, you might want to do it all in 4 hours. But here is something that is very important. It has been shown that we have a circadian rhythm. We all have a natural rhythm. We can only fully concentrate maximum 30 minutes to 90 minutes as human beings. Beyond that, we are unable to concentrate. So you might still be studying, you might still be on your desk, but it means that whatever you are studying is not coming in, you are not absorbing it. So be mindful of that. It's what we call a biological clock. It's a circadian rhythm. It goes in rhythms of 30 minutes up to 90 minutes. So meaning that even if you're doing a bulk, so let's say you're doing 3 hours or 4 hours, you need every 30 minutes or 60 minutes or 90 minutes to take a break. A break might look like this. It could be going to get some water, or doing some stretches, or doing some deep relaxation techniques. You remember in I think it was around June, I did a relaxation techniques. You can go to that video just as a reference to say how do you do those relaxation techniques. So one of the things is to identify if you are a morning person or an evening person, and then you use that time to study for whatever catch up you need to be catching up on. So then I've talked about sleep, and then now I have talked about the hours that you can use for studying. And then you might still have chores around the house, you might still need to socialize. So you look at the other hours that are remaining to divide them according. Remember I said we all have 24 hours. So this goes also to those who are learning in higher institutions. I know for those who are learning in higher institutions, you might need less sleep. And less sleep might mean that you're only sleeping for 4 to 6 hours. You might not need 10 hours like a teenager. So you also divide it like that. If you only need 4 hours and you feel refreshed with 4 hours, you can do that. If you need up to 6 hours or 8 hours to be refreshed, you start with that. When you look at your chart, your 24 hours, you first start with sleep. Sleep is very important. I've already mentioned why is it important to sleep adequately. And then you are going to go into each module. You divide each module. In your study guide, usually they say how many hours you will need for you to succeed carefully in each study module. So if you need 5 hours for that module, or 6 hours per week, or 10 hours, then you divide it according to your exam timetable. So you being able to visualize your timetable, it's also very important, because you know which subjects or which module you should be prioritizing, and then you put the rest for other things, for eating, for bathing, for socializing, and for doing chores, and as well as doing something that is pleasurable, such as, being, for men it's the nothing box, be it reading, be it binging on series, whatever it is. What is important in our exam preparation is to not panic, because you might be looking at this sheer amount of work which you need to catch up on. Is to, again, deep breaths, or breathe deeply, and then organize your work according to the dates that you need to accomplish that work, and then divide on a day-to-day. So meaning that time management is going to be very important. So now I'm putting in another element, which is time management. The first one is sleeping. The second one is dividing your hours. The third one is breathing very deeply and relaxing. The fourth one is then managing your time very well. So meaning that, as we say, all things new in this September, as we conclude this month, is let your goals keep you motivated. COVID-19 has demotivated and killed a lot of dreams, along with a lot of things that we have lost along the way. But as you realize that exams are here and you still have goals, you have registered, and in January you had your resolutions and so on, let your goals keep you motivated in this time as you you prepare for the exams. With this, Skaftini Mfahonyana, as we're going to be entering into October, we're still working with you, and we're saying for more information, for you to get help, for how you can tackle this time if you feel overwhelmed, welcome to contact us on our website, www.Pretoria Psychologists. We are here for you to help you through this time to be able to cope. Monday, Re Tsene with Pretoria Psychologists. Me checking out of September. It's Ndala-Magoro. Let's all spring together into the new season.